Hi there, welcome to Business Leadership Podcast. In this podcast, I interview business leaders, industry experts to share their knowledge, their wisdom, and their insights to help you grow your business. I truly believe that sometimes a single insight can completely change your business directions to help you grow your scale up your business and achieve your business goals. In this episode, I interviewed Stephen Clarke. Stephen is the president and founder of RTG Group. His company runs so many social programs, not only helping corporations or businesses to increase the staff retention or build a culture, or also gets the staff engaged in a social causes. But the other side, they also do a lot of good in society as well. They deal with a lot of social issues, including homelessness, also feeding a hungry, and also many other issues. I think you will find my discussion with them very intuitive, and I think it will provide you a different perspective if you want to be part of his programs and help out to deal with some of those causes I just mentioned. Before we go, don't forget to like, subscribe, and send us your feedback. Your feedback is very important for us to grow this channel. So don't forget to like and subscribe to YouTube channel, and also send us your feedback. Until next time, have yourself a great day. Enjoy. Talk soon. Bye-bye. Hi guys, welcome to another leadership podcast. And today my guest is someone very special, Stephen Clarke. Stephen is the founder and a CEO of the RTG Group. He's an author, he's a speaker, he's an investor, and he's also a former professional athlete as well. I'm looking forward to this discussion, Stephen. We run a business on a daily basis, but very seldom we find people who are trying to do good in a social and making a social impact and trying to good by the people. And you're always full of energy. I'm always looking forward to a discussion with you, and I'm looking forward to learning from you. And so excited to have you on a podcast. Welcome to the show today.
Oh, well, thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I always get a thrill out of being able to talk about what we're doing, and obviously a real passion for me. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the conversation.
So if you tell us a little bit the background, what RTG Group is about, what do you do there, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, RTG Group. So it's a new chapter in my life. I've been an entrepreneur for 25 plus years, and was very successful. I was fortunate after I got hurt playing hockey. And this is a new chapter. It started about 6 years ago, and it was all around. I mean, we came kind of out of a very short-lived retirement to make a positive impact in the world, and that was it. It was that general. We didn't know what it was going to be. Didn't really have anything pinpointed at the time. But after going through a lot of data from Google, partnered up with Google, constantly giving us stuff, we started to really realize that the giving space was in serious trouble. We were never going to solve the problems that we're faced with today based on the model that we have. So that's why we kind of came out to build this new model. But as a lot of people ask me about, they noticed that our business is a for-profit social enterprise. Mm-hmm. And I said, it's very difficult to build sustainable models that where everybody wins more than they put in without being a for-profit company, because those will not last. And that's what the charity model is today. So we kind of, I don't want to say we invented that. I mean, there was a few around, but there's more and more now. And it's a real collaborative model that will bring, change the giving space, and quite frankly, make it far more impactful and make our dollars go way further than they have in the past.
Mm-hmm. Well, not only is a sustainable business for you, but also is very good for corporations who sign up your program. I mean, building a morale in a company or simply keeping your employees involved in your causes. I mean, that's a big impact you make on corporations as well, right?
Yeah, in that particular model, we actually tweaked it a little bit because we found a flaw in our feeding model, where the companies really today, you got to change. It's the same thing as the charity model. The company's got to change. I was talking to a very, very large company here in Canada last week, and they were telling me about particular causes that they stand for. And, I started laughing at them. And these were the top guys of this, big company. And they said, "What's so funny?" I said, I find it amusing that you still think that you can tell employees today what they're going to be passionate about. I said, that's about the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And so they naturally said, "Well, what's your solution?" I said, "We have a program called the RTG Social Impact Challenge that has challenges around every single sustainable development goals, all 17 of them, and we let the employees decide
what cause to pick from.
Well, they get to go in, they get to do the challenges. There's like 50 on every 17 SDG that they're passionate about. So here's a novel concept to all you business owners out there. Imagine doing a program that's going to improve culture, build a stronger emotional connection with your employees. And when you go into the challenge, someone says, what's your social impact? And you say, the company says, we don't know yet. We'll wait and we'll tell you as soon as our employees have made that decision. Wow is right. It's like, what? Because this particular company, 82,000 employees, they picked 6 SDGs.
Yeah.
And I said to them, there's 17. You've eliminated 11. And I can tell you right now, young people today, if you just do those 6, the ones who are passionate about any of the other 11, they will not get engaged. And if that's not a flawed strategy, I've never seen one. So
let me play it back. So let's make sure we understand. So what you're simply saying is, as a business leader or business owner, when we want to do good in a society, we pick what cause is close to us. Especially
absolutely.
We pick a cause what we care about may not be the same as what my staff cares about.
Sure.
Whatever's close to me. I was board of director in a cancer society. A Gilda Club. So I will pick the cause I want to do. But what you're saying is, that's not enough. What your program, you let staff pick whatever cause they're interested in or they want to contribute to, and you run with those causes.
It's even better than that, because the young generation today, they may give, they may not. I mean, they want to make a positive impact, but our program is a gamified program. So when they click on climate, there's like 50 different challenges there that they don't have to give to a charity, because they're a little bit dicey on that these days. But what they can do is they can go pick up trash and get measurable points of the impact they're making on the planet. They can go do all these other different things. So it's a gamified program. And by the way, they compete with all the other employees as to how many points they have. So it's a really, really cool, innovative program that puts the emphasis back on where it needs to be, because we haven't been doing this for like forever. And it's about the employees. And that will, by the way, one chief human resource person said to me, so what are the other benefits? I said, retention rates.
Right? Definitely. People that involved. Yeah. Engage. Sorry, we lost you for a second, Stephen, there. I think you're mute.
Sorry,
we lost you there for a second.
Yeah, but, okay. So this chief people officer said, what are the other, benefits of your program? And I said, retention levels. Well, everybody today is freaking out about retention levels, right? I mean, retention levels, these young kids, 1-2 years, they're moving on to the next one. And no one's bothered to find out why. They just say, well, that's just the way they are. No, they're not. They don't do that from Google. They don't do it from all these other companies. No, they don't have an emotional connection to the brand.
You want to make an impact.
Exactly. And you're right. The same thing happens is, as a company owner, I had, my mother died of cancer or whatever, so I'm going to give to cancer. Yeah. And then I'm going to complain that my employees aren't engaged in that program. Well, that's not what they're passionate about. You've got to stop today as business owners. We've got to pay way more attention to our employees today, because human capital is as important as anything we have today.
But what are your thoughts on that? If you only pick one cause in a company, don't you think you can make a much bigger impact? If you pick multiple causes, you may not be able to make that big an impact on a multiple causes. What are your thoughts around that? If you pick only one, you can make a much bigger impact.
Well, let me ask you this. You got 100 employees in your company, and you pick climate, right? Seems to be there. And you get, maybe you get 50% participate. Not even only got 50%. Or you pick my program, where they get to pick, and every challenge they do is a measurable impact and everything, and you get all 100 participating, and you add up all those points. Which do you think will give you a bigger impact?
Definitely.
Right. No kidding. Way bigger. Which do you think your employees would be more, more emotionally connected to? Obviously.
Yeah, their own cause. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's what needs to happen today. We need to start thinking like
Mhm.
almost outside the box, forget the box even, and say, hey, these guys think differently than we did. These young
Mhm.
people, I mean, my average staff is 25. I mean, so I listen to them. And by the way, somebody said to me the other day about COVID and, post COVID. So what are you doing? You guys, are you getting back to the office? And I said, no, I'm not. They said, well, why not? I said, because I didn't decide that. My staff did. We
Mhm.
got on a Zoom call. We got everybody there. We all decided, and they all decided that we're going to go into the offices on Monday. Everybody's kind of going to go in. We're going to do this thing on Monday. And then the rest of the week, they'll work from wherever they want.
Mhm.
Is that my ideal scenario? No, but I'm okay with it. That's fine. I'll probably still go to the office every day, but that's okay if they don't want to. We got to change the way we think. We're still thinking that old way. Well, we're going to do this. We're going to give it to this charity. We're going to, by the way, that's another thing. You do a thing and you ask your employees to do something and give back to a charity. that's, I just had a major company that have been dealing with a major charity for 20 years. That major charity went in and said, this is what we're going to do. 60% of their employees said, we're not doing it. Well, why not? Because the money goes back to that charity. We don't know where that goes.
Mhm.
We got to change the way we do things.
Yeah.
It's not the same world anymore.
Especially the younger people coming in the workforce. I mean, they want to make impact. They want to know who we're helping. They want to get involved with a lot of those things. So it's
And you're
different.
right.
Yeah.
You said the right word there. They demand it. They're not asking for it anymore.
Yeah.
They're demanding it. And guess what happens if they don't get it? They leave. They
Yeah.
go find another company. They have no emotional connection to you when you keep telling them everything that they've got to do. It makes no sense at all, but we continue to do it. And in fact, 93% of all companies in North America today still tell their employees what causes they're going to stand for.
Mhm.
93%.
Wow.
Flawed strategy.
So
Yeah.
talk about some of those major causes that you see on your platform. I know there's a lot of causes, but what are the most common ones that you see across the businesses?
So all we did, quite frankly, was we decided not to go there. So here's what I mean. The long, well, not too long, but we took our team building program in it. We're all about feeding, right? Our main company is all around ending hunger in North America with this great new model we've got. Everybody wins more than they put in, full transparency. So we took that model in the corporate world. Of course we did. Well, that's what we were all about, right?
Mm-hmm.
We said, here, we got 25 companies beta tested. Here, divide your employees up into teams and we'll see which team can feed the most. Cool, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not so cool. We did exactly the same thing that we didn't know at the time. And companies said, oh, yeah, we had fun. We fed some kids and it was really cool and everything. But we didn't get as much engaged. We thought everybody would get involved. But no, we didn't get that. We were like, what? What are you talking about? We did the survey. We found the study. We found out exactly what I just told you. Some of those kids said, yeah, feeding's great and everything, but I'm about climate. I'm about homelessness. I'm about different, whatever. There's 17 SDGs. They're passionate about another one. And I kidded somebody the other day. I said, I'm fluent in Swedish. The guy says, oh, that's cool. I said, yeah, I play professional hockey over there. I said, what do you think if I called up Greta right now? Greta, the climate, the little Swedish girl. What do you think I called her and said, hey, Greta, in Swedish, hey, Greta, this is what we're doing. And how'd you like to help us feed kids? And he laughed and he said jokingly, she'd probably hang up on you. I said, no, probably about it. She would. It would just go click. If it's not about climate, forget it. So that's what these young kids are about today. You've got to allow them to decide. Then they'll get engaged. Every chief people officer will say to you, the biggest thing we want is engagement. We want our people engaged, right? Well, you're not going to get them engaged if you keep telling them what they're going to stand for, what they're going to have a passion about. It makes no sense at all. We got to change that.
Yeah. So let's take a look at the process. How does the process work, Stephen? People, some business signs up with you, and how does it work that you engage staff, or how does the whole process work?
No, it's actually it's an online platform, so it can be virtual, which is great. It can be anywhere in the world. We've got it on over 60 languages right now, so it's really cool. What we did was we built some algorithms that basically would tell us the actual impact. So we created some challenges going out and pick up trash. We put that into the algorithms, proprietary algorithms that we created with a partner company, and we said, so what would the impact be? Give it to us in points. So we developed this point system so that would have an impact. And one of the cool things around that was now that also created this gamified competition amongst employees who can get the more points and who's going to make the biggest impact, and now companies could give out trophies at the end or some type of a recognition. He's the impact guy of the year, or she's the impact, you know what I mean? So it gets them all engaged and gets them trash talking each other, and it's just a real fun program. So it's very simple. People just say, okay, this is fantastic. We do team buildings. By the way, somebody told me the other day, asked me what it cost. You got to get about 150 employees. And I said, it's $50 an employee per person. It's a month-long program. And he looked at me, we were doing a Zoom call, and he said, okay. I said, what's wrong? He said, $50. I mean, I remember paying paintball before COVID. It was like $78.50 for 2.5 hours. I said, we're a social impact company. It's not about how much money we can make. It's about the impact we can do. So it's $50 an employee. That's all it is. It's a month-long program. They sign up. This guy, which by the way, they're doing the program, they all sign up. They all register. And the first day that they go online, it starts October 1st or November 1st, whatever. And what they see is all 17 sustainable development goals. And they get to select. And when they click that button, there's all these challenges. And they get to select the challenge they want to take or whatever. There are some where they can contribute. Our model, for example, feeding is one of the ones on the hunger. So they click on that and they see RTG buy 30 meals. Okay, I want that one because it's good. 30 meals is going to go right back to the person. I love that. So they can do that and they can contribute that if they want, but they don't have to. There's only about 35% of our challenges and of all of them that you can actually pay and buy something. It's about making an impact and doing things that you can just go do. So yeah, that's what the program's all about. It's a month-long program. And then all we do is at the end of the month, we add up all the points, divide by the number of employees. Now a company's got a social impact score. It's a cool program.
And how your team makes an impact, delivering food to
that's just one of the challenges. We're talking. So here's what you got to get. And this is, by the way, this is confusing for some people because they talk about RTG and we're going to be feeding 20 million people a month, and then all of a sudden I give them our corporate model, and they're like, where'd that come from? Yeah, that came from, remember, I told you we found the flaw. We found a flawed strategy. So we're not taking our feeding program anymore into the corporate world where we know it's a flawed strategy. We want to help them. We want to make an impact. So this is a new program. It's all 17 sustainable development goals. The employees get to pick, and that's what we do. If they pick hunger, they could potentially feed some people. And we did, by the way, in our beta testing, we got some kids fed through that program, and that's fine, but that's not why we do this particular program. We decided not to take our feeding program into the corporate world, except for that one challenge, because that wasn't the best for the corporate world. Why would we take something that we already knew wasn't good? Because our company's not about how much money we can make. It's about the impact we can make at the end of the day. So that's why we did this.
So from business standpoint, the business leaders who are listening, Stephen, retention is one of the employee engagement those are the big items. What else, people think it through when they're trying to, when they reach out to you, what other problem they're trying to solve? Is only those two? Because I know team building is another one. You just mentioned.
Well, team building. So team building is not team building is obviously a result of you want employees to come together, work together, stuff like that. That's anything you can do through engagement, right? So this program does that big time. In fact, one company, what they did was we did kind of a pre-launch, and we found out that there was only 11 of the 17. There was only 11, and all those people pre-registered for the one that they were passionate about. And then what we did was, because this guy said, I love the individual thing, but I really like to find some way that they can do a team thing. So we said, no problem. Here's what we'll do. So they registered. There was 11. Then what we did was they registered for each individual employee, registered for the one they were passionate about. And then we had a competition based on the teams. Nice. So it's now SDG against SDG, whichever sustainable development goal. And at the end, we did the same thing, because they said, well, what about if there's only, what about if there's 15 of our employees in climate, but there's only, 5 of them in homelessness? It doesn't matter because it's about the number of points divided by the number of employees. So they're all on a level playing field. So they decided to go that route, and that worked out really well. That's another route that potentially is going to happen in colleges and universities because our program is perfect for them. They involve students in these things and they get really passionate about that. And so now you can get teams around that. So culture for any company talking to me right now, if you don't, I'm sure most of them understand now, your culture is created by your employees. This isn't about us sitting up in the boardroom now and having our cognac and smoking cigars and decide how we're going to create culture. Forget it. It doesn't matter how good you are, how creative you are. It doesn't matter. Your employees will create the culture of your company. That's it. It's no longer top down. It's bottom up. Learn that, understand that, buy into it. Even though, for years we've been operating differently. It's changed. You've got to understand the top down now. Top down is to learn from these guys. It's not to tell them what to do or this is how we're going to create. Say to our employees, how are we going to create culture? This is what we'd like to have, a really, productive culture and really engaged culture and everything. What can we do to make that happen? They'll tell you. They'll tell you. The young people today, they'll freaking tell you right up front. They'll tell you. And I think that, by the way, is outstanding. For me, as a seasoned entrepreneur, so many years we were kind of guessing and we're not sure. And then somebody leaves and you didn't know they weren't unhappy and everything. Not today. Right away. And I love it. I absolutely love it. So, you got to change with the times.
And the internet has no speaking the mind either, right? The new people coming from universities, the information they have, their fingertips and they know technology very well. They speak their mind and they look, I was speaking to one candidate, and they look for companies who are making a difference. They look at the companies are making a social impact as well, right? Because they want to be part of that. So important to them. Before COVID, even 10 years back, you look at somebody looking for career growth. But this is one of the items that's so critical to them. They ask for these things. Hey, what impact are you making? Where are you going with the company? They ask you so many questions, so you need to provide that.
Absolutely, my friend. It's probably now if it's not number one now, it will be like very shortly, and it will probably always be now because these young kids are just passionate about that. And here's the difference. I was just talking to earlier today with this entrepreneur, and the CEO got on with the chief people officer, and we were talking about it. And I said, so you tell me which is better. You go an employee there that you really want to hire, and he comes and you're talking money and everything, and he says, so tell me about the social impact and everything. And you say, oh, no, we've got the climate, we've got hunger, we've got homelessness. I mean, those are the three that we're really focused on right now. We're doing all these great programs around there. And here's this guy sitting here and he's passionate about something else. So now 50-50 maybe because you're, but probably not. Now, same thing. And the guy said, he says, what's your social impact and everything about? Oh, that's created by our employees. Whatever you're passionate about, we have a program that allows you to get involved in it and create an actual impact around the one that you're passionate about. Yeah, the only thing you're going to get there is, where do I sign the agreement? Like, give it to me, the contract. I mean, that's where we have to go. We have to go there. I sell this program now. I don't talk to too many people. We have a staff that does that. But whenever they get chief people officers, how I sell it now? I say to them, listen, I have a program that you have to do. If you give me 5 minutes, I'll tell you why. If you don't agree with me, just go. Fine. And now I get these chief people officers, huge companies. They're nodding their head. They're like, "Wow, yeah, you're absolutely right." No kidding.
There's so many social issues around. Definitely. In the environment where so many social issues. It's you gotta go that way. But let me ask you this. Let me ask the COVID. Did you see any changes in how people giving during the COVID? Any impact they make on your program, and where you see that impact? Are people more cautious about what social programs I want to pick? How do I want to give, or less or more? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that there was certainly a hesitation. I mean, the biggest thing about COVID, I think we can all agree, was the unknown, right? We didn't know. I mean, all this information's out there. We don't know what's right. Should we get vaccinated? Shouldn't we? All this different stuff. Even the medical community is divided on it. It's like, what? We've never heard of this stuff. So there was a real, we basically shelved this program during COVID. We didn't, we started talking to some people about it, and they're all like, "Well, talk to me when this thing is over." So we didn't take it out at all, even though we had already beta tested it. I think that COVID has brought a new realization that change is needed, which I think is really good. And because we're always hesitant to change, and I think that kind of broke open the dam, and we're like, yes, we need to change the way we do things, virtually, Zooms. I mean, all these different. Do we need to be together anymore? Not really. So even though the young people still have that, they do still want to get together. They still, like our staff, for example, one day a week. I mean, so they're still they look forward to that. It's a great way to start the week. But I think COVID has really opened our eyes to a number of things. And I can tell you that when we started, pre-COVID, there was about 40, maybe 48, 49 million people in North America that were going hungry every day. Today it's 53 million, including 17 million kids. There's serious issues. And unfortunately, now the other great thing for me, especially, is when I come out with a new model around change and around giving and stuff like that, people are more receptive to it. They're open to it now because they're saying, hey, we're basically living in the decade of change because of COVID. I mean, yeah, everything's changing. God, I mean, all the things that we travel, I mean, everything. So they're open to these, and we're basically positioning it that this is the way we need to do things in the future.
Any new cause added to your list that you didn't have before during the COVID? I see a lot of people suffer, a lot of impact on business or people.
Yeah, I tell you what's happened. So I'm pretty good at coming up with some creative ideas. But what's happened recently is that they've been coming faster than I can react to them. So we actually pivoted. We did a really interesting pivot about 3-4 months ago. Is we started realizing that we had the ability through some of these programs to really make a huge impact. So the first one was we had a program that I created. It was called Purpose-Driven Travel, and it was all centered around the volunteers. Not the 1.4 million charities, but the 78 million volunteers, because, they're the backbone, of course, of our charities. And they don't get compensated or anything. And it's difficult. So what we did was we said, let's make this really cool for them. So we created Purpose-Driven Travel. We created it as a separate company so that we could have a standalone, its own staff, because it deserves it. And quite frankly, in the next 3 years, that company will feed 5 million kids a month. And I have no doubt about that. That's actually low. Mm-hmm. So that is all about a particular niche market. So when we say to a volunteer, how would you like to be introduced to a new and improved way that you can raise more money for your charity of choice and get free travel? What percentage of those volunteers do you think say, yeah, I'd like to know about that? Mm-hmm. Honestly, 100%. But every single one of them. Because we're not talking about feeding kids. We're saying this is about you. Now when they say, well, how do we do that? And we say to them, well, here's our model. You're going to go out and feed children. Oh, okay. But I'm about diabetes. Never mind about this is what you're going to do. I already told you what's in it for you. You're going to raise more money for your charity of choice, and you're going to get free travel. Okay, explain it to me. So I was talking to this one group, and they, on average, is 250. We beta tested this in this group, and they raise about $12,000 a year is what they're challenged by their charity. Okay. They weren't hitting all that; only about 30% of them were reaching that. But we said to them, we walked them through our model. You're going to go out and say to people, "How would you like to feed a child? 30 meals a month, $39.70. You're going to get a tax receipt because we're going to ship that to a charity that's going to do that." Mm-hmm. And you're going to get a discount mobile app that's got over 300,000 vendors that offer you 15% of everything you get. So you're going to win more than you put in. Mm-hmm. So all those people said, wow, this is a great model, but we're raising money for, okay, never mind that. I'll get back to that. I told you that. Can you do that? And they're like, yeah, we can feed 500 kids doing that easy. Okay, good. This is what would happen if you did. We're going to take $2 off of every one, $1,000 a month or $12,000 a year, and we're going to send that back to your charity. And what was it that you told me you wanted to raise for your charity every year? $12,000 a year. You just did it. You did it by feeding 500 kids through a model where all transparency and everybody wins more than they put in. And they're like, that's great. And we said, no, it's not great. It's good. Now let's make it great because you guys need to win as well. So we're taking 50 cents or 250 a month or 3,000 a year, and we're putting that in a travel account for you. They're like, whoa, that's what they said. Wow, exactly. It's time we started being more creative, more innovative, and building sustainable models. And the reason they're sustainable, because everybody's winning. Yeah. Why is anybody going to stop? Exactly. Why would they stop? So that's the model we have on purpose-driven travel. So now the charities still win. The volunteers win. And of course, we win because we're feeding all those kids. So yeah.
But you make an impact on many different areas, different aspects of it, right? So if you look at from every different angle, the people who run a charity and the kids you're feeding and the companies and the volunteers, I mean, from your staff standpoint, so many different angles. I mean, these things are all interconnected when you think about the impact.
Yeah, impact was really cool. I think I told you this before we came on line here that we've been contacted by a company in California was kind of reviewing our model and everything, and they want to do an actual study on our model because they're saying that we're shortchanging ourselves. And I was like, "What are you talking about?" They said, "You're measuring your impact based on how many people you feed, and that might be less than 50% of the actual impact that you're making." Because you're making it on the economy, you're making it on so many other things. We want to do a full report for you to make you and other people understand just how good this model is. Because everyone thinks it's great right now. We think it's better than great. So we're actually retained them, and they're going to start next month. And so that'll be really interesting for me because, I didn't get into this whole thing to, change the world and do it. I got in because my mom wanted me to build a homeless shelter for her in downtown Toronto. And so this was a retirement project. I said, great. But I said, I'm not going out and begging my friends for money. I can build it. I have the money myself. I have friends, and some of the corporations will help me build it. But what about that every month, all the staff and all this? Who's paying for that? Well, we got to go out and beg for. No, I'm not doing that. So I wanted to create a new model, and it just happened to be around the feeding. And so my wife and I had said, if we can feed, X amount between 50 and 100,000 people a month, we can have a sustainable. This is perfect. This is fantastic. And that's how we got excited. And it wasn't until I went and visited a major association in the United States that said they wanted to partner with us and had all their members do this, that I realized what we actually had. And it was like, wow, this is going to be huge. So yeah, that's how we started. And the whole impact is, I'm fascinated with impact. I consider myself an impact investor. The impact investing space is really growing fast, where people are saying, yeah, I still want to make a return on my investment, but that's not the major thing. I want to know the impact that my money's having. And that's where things are really going to start to change. So that's exciting.
So let's talk about you mentioned a little bit of that. So did you end up building shelter for your mother, or is it?
It's in the process. We have the land, and so we kind of got sidetracked with this whole model and everything. And my mother passed away, unfortunately, during this last 6 years. And so, but we have the land, and we decided the reason we haven't broken ground or anything is because I say this with the best intentions, not to knock anybody or whatever, but the homeless situation that we have today is not solving anything. These people are not getting the help that they need. They're basically giving shelter and some food, and then they're back on the street all day. I mean, it's not the proper. We need a better way, and I'm going to come up with that. Actually, I've already talked to some major people in that space, doctors and everything else. We want to build. We don't want to build a homeless shelter. We want to build an evolution center where they come in. Obviously, they get the food, they get the space to stay, but they also get the help that they need. We even want to have an HR department as part of that. So that we're going to find them jobs. We're going to give them training. We're going to make sure that we're actually, giving them another chance. to really go and make a difference in life, because that's all some of these homeless people do. And by the way, my wife and I have done more studies than I would say most people. We talked to them. We got it right from there. We talked to the shelters, but more importantly, we talked to the people in the streets. You would be, we were, in fact, both of us were in tears sometimes listening to some of these stories. And we can do something about that. So we want to make sure if we're going to do it, let's do it properly. And remember, the more as we're doing that and getting ready for that, the more people we're feeding. Now, the more, I mean, I don't see us building a shelter. I see us building, 500 shelters. So that's what we're going to do over the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, providing place to live is a temporary, but unless you don't take care of the root cause of the problem and help them in that regard, I mean, they're going to keep coming back.
It's not a sustainable model. They're not really solving any problems. I mean, I live, downtown Toronto. I happen to live beside a shelter right now, a temporary shelter. And yeah, you know what? I talk to them every day. And it's not solving any problem. In fact, I asked them, I said, well, city extended this till April and everything. And, then what? And basically, I got like 90% of them say, well, then I'll be back on the street. That's cool. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, look at the opportunity we had. Yeah. There's like 500 of them in there. We could have been doing all this other stuff and everything. And, the system just doesn't allow it.
So let's talk about your journey, Steve, a little bit. You mentioned a little bit of that. Were you always very conscious about the social causes or growing up? How did you get inspired by that, or how did you get involved in this? What you were doing before? Just walk us through your journey.
Yeah, so I was fairly poor growing up. We weren't without. I mean, we certainly didn't eat very lavishly, but I mean, we always had something. My parents were great. My mom always taught me that, it's better to give than receive. I never believed her, of course. I said, yeah, once I get it, I'll give. But, my mom was really a saint. And, once I had it, of course, at 19, I signed my first professional hockey contract. So once I had money, I in fact, to a flaw, I would help other people. It was just, my mom built it into me, and that's the way. In fact, I had to actually go see Tony Robbins to find out why I kept making millions. And then, a few years later, it would be gone. And he told me it was my need to kind of give to others before myself. And he made me kind of fix what was going on, and realizing that developing a model where everybody wins, including you, is the way to make everybody happy. And the more that I have, the more good I could do. So it was really an interesting journey. And, after I got hurt playing hockey, played for 5 years, got hurt pretty bad into my career, I got into advertising, which was, perfect for me because it allowed me to be creative, innovative. I mean, it was a great industry for that. And then after selling my company and kind of retiring very, very short period, we didn't retire for very long. We just knew we had to come back. I mean, my wife is a bigger giver than I am. I mean, she's, and she's unbelievable. And so we knew that we had to come back and make a difference. And we didn't know what, we just knew it had to be something. And we wanted, it's almost like leaving a legacy, right? You want to do something good and help other people. And to be honest with you, I don't know if there's a better feeling in the world. And I tell this to young kids, and they're always amazed, especially young Canadian boys who, I mean, they dream of being a professional hockey player. And here I'm telling them I was a professional hockey player, but what I'm doing right today is more fulfilling and makes me feel better. And they're like, what the hell is this guy talking about? But when I explain it to them, like, they're like, wow, like we never even thought about that. So, but yeah, it just kind of came and it built. And I could tell you right now, in fact, I was doing an interview this morning. I said, I was made to do exactly what I'm doing right now.
Beautiful.
Nice. This is what I should be doing. I love creating. I love doing this. I love finding ways that we can help more people. And I get the biggest thrill. I get up every day. I think I work, probably 12, 13 hours every single day. I get up at 4 o'clock, 4:30 every single morning. I do my workouts and everything, but then I'm right at it. And I just love it. I love talking about it.
But it's not work. You're not doing work. You're doing what you really enjoy.
People talk about that. And I know it's a corny line when you find something you love to do, you never work a day in your life. Now, I actually will dispute that because, there's lots of days where I'm like, holy, is this ever going to stop? I mean, whoa. But, I still find it fulfilling. At the end of the day, I sit there and I say, wow, what a day we had. I mean, no matter how exhausting it is, it was like, wow. So it's a pretty cool life that I'm living right now.
Mm-hmm. What impact do you want to, what you want to see, on corporations or people? What are your thoughts? Like, how much impact you thinking, you want to make on all different angles from people?
Yeah, I think the reality is there's no limits to it. I think the biggest problem we have today. I mean, keeping in mind that we give over $400 billion a year to charities in Canada, United States. We know that's, nobody can argue with that anymore. I mean, why are homelessness numbers up? Why are, hunger issues up? Why is the climate in the dumper if we're giving all that money to solve the problem? It's not the amount of money we give. People keep saying, I'm going to do this thing and I'm going to give more money to charity. Well, congratulations, but that's not going to solve the problem. The model's broken. We need to have creative people step up and create new, innovative models that will actually solve the problem. That's the solution. And I'm happy to say that I'm part of that solution. And I think as we continue on the road where we are, we'll inspire other people to do the same thing and start to thinking outside. As I say, get rid of that box. We always thinking of, I'm thinking outside the box. What box? In my life, there isn't a box. I just create things that I know will be a win-win-win and will solve a problem. So that's what we need to start to happen. So, in fact, I was also asked if I could just, sorry for interrupting, but somebody said to me, where will you be? Where will RTG be in 20 years from now? I said, RTG won't be in business 20 years from now.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? We don't have a shortage of food in this world. Yeah. We have a problem with the distribution of that food and the waste. I'm going to be investing. One of the things we'll invest in is businesses that will actually put us out of business. That will be one of my big goals. So that's where we'll be. Sorry.
So fixing those broken bottles, as you alluded, Stephen, would that fix a problem? That's going to fix. More people are going to get involved. More people are going to get engaged. Business will get engaged. You think that will fix it? Money's already there. You think fixing the models will take care of the problem, or there's more we got to do after fixing the models?
Oh, I think it's we've really buggered things up, to be honest. I mean, we really have done a job over the last 50 years in our planet and everything else. So there's a lot of fixing to do. But I think as more and more models are created like ours, which can have the ability to make sure that every child gets a meal at least once a day and all these different things. So I think if you stop at homeless shelters where they're actually going to be recycling people and getting them back in the environment and jobs and everything, this is the solution for problems and where we can get back into be a more productive society. We've got one for vets called Next Chapter in the States. And one of the biggest problems for the vets right now is they're not really given the skills or they don't feel that they want to learn another skill to do that because they're war veterans and things like that. But when we talk to them about getting educated by doing programs that are going to feed kids, all of a sudden that's a whole different mind shift for them. And then they get schooled on how to do digital sales and marketing, all these different programs that we're putting together for them. So that is going to solve a huge problem as well. And so we just have to be more creative and come up with innovative, creative problems that are actually going to address the solution and not just keep exasperating the problems.
There's so much nonprofit organization in Ontario. I mean, if you look at that, this number of, I think it's 400 some numbers. I mean, do they all get to look at a different perspective the way they want it? They got to have the sustainable model for all of them. They got to think it through, how to sustain their cash flows. Do they all got to look at different ways, or there are some good ones they're already using the model you're using?
There's a few, but not nonprofits or charities. I mean, there's other for-profits now. We're partnered with a company called Four Oceans in Florida. and they're recycling all the plastic out of the ocean, and they sell products and everything. They're like a sustainable type thing as well. They've got some really good investors involved in them. There are companies stepping up and doing things. A lot of money being spent, obviously, on the climate. We haven't done a very good job of that as it continues to deteriorate, but there will be more and more, solar alternative energies, things like that. So there's some shifts happening, but again, you cannot do this. I mean, recently I was told about a charity that raised a lot of money for feeding. And when we broke it all down, I mean, the majority of the money really went to their infrastructure. And rightly so. I mean, they got to pay their rent, they got to pay their staff and everything. But if you're giving money, if you're giving $100 to, because you want to feed kids or whatever it may be, and you find that, 85 cents of that dollar is actually going to cover the costs and everything, you're not very happy about that. And so you'll probably, as young people are doing, stop doing it. So, we're going to have to change. We have no choice. 70% of the money given to charities today is still given by individuals. And as those individuals, get younger and younger and younger, and they're not going to do it, it's going to leave a real serious problem. There has to be models like ours and others out there, like Four Oceans, that are doing that, so these young people can say, I want to give here. I'm giving to these guys. I'm not giving to these big charities and everything to pay for their staff and everything. And again, I'm not knocking the charities. The charities have great intentions. They have equal intentions to ours. They want to solve a problem, but their model is broken. It doesn't work. So they're not going to solve the problem. They're just going to keep paying their people and paying their rents. And it's just going to be a vicious cycle, which, by the way, it has been for 200 years. It's time to change.
Well, high administration costs. Just administration cost is much higher than.
Absolutely. I mean, everything goes up. It goes up and up and up. And these costs. And so, yeah, it's the model again. I mean, it's the model. In our model, when we give the food back to the charity, we said to the young kids, when you buy the meals from us and we give them to the charity, what are you giving the charity? That's who you get your tax receipt. What are you giving the charity? They're like, food. So what percentage of that is going back to the people who need it? You think the charities are eating it or what? Yeah. And they're all like, of course not. 100%. 100%. No question. No argument. That's the deal. And we said to them, and they were eating the food in our focus group, and we're charging you $1.33 a meal. 30 meals, $39.70. You think we're getting rich? There wasn't one kid in our focus groups that said, how are you doing this? How are you making this? It's a cup of granola and or oatmeal and 2 bars for $1.33. Impossible. We said, well, we're doing it based on volume, and but at least, we're not getting rich. We don't even know how you do it. So yes, we're obviously really happy about that. So we provided that full transparency. We know exactly where it's going, the impact it's making, and they were really happy about it. And that's who we have to make happy and make sure they're getting their discount app, which they're using and saving money. Make everybody happy. The kids are happy. Obviously, they're getting the food. Everybody's happy. The charities should be happy. They're still getting the food. Now, all that money, they don't have to buy any food anymore. We'll give them millions of meals. So everybody wins in our model, and we have to start building models in everything we do, by the way, where everybody wins.
Seems to be you involved a lot more in the U.S. Programs, Steve. In Canada as well. Is it intentional, or is it how it's going, or what's the difference?
It's the need. I mean, if I tell you the 53 million people, I mean, there's 50 of those are in the States, right? I mean, we still have a serious problem, but I mean, we have 10% of the population, but they have there's more issues in the States. And so most of our programs, we have a new vegan model, for example. Our food happens to be vegan. So we created a specific, there's 10 million vegan people in North America now, 10 million. So why not tap into those and feed 1 million or 2 million kids through their program? Because it's all vegan food. So now they know that these young kids who are needing food, they're getting vegan food back. They're really happy about that. And our give back is we're investing in vegan companies, and we're building these huge vegan events twice a year, one in Miami, one in Toronto next year. So what we do is we say, how do we give them what they want? Well, you know what? It's really easy to give somebody something that they want as soon as you know what it is they want.
Yeah.
Half the time we don't even know what the hell people want, but we go in and find out. We said the vegan community, what do you want? Well, we want better education. We want to get more funding for vegan companies. We want to get more vegan food out there. Okay, here's our model. And we created the vegan experience. And they went, what? This is unbelievable. By this time next year, the vegan experience alone will be feeding 1 million kids a month, and we'll be investing $24 million a year in vegan startups.
Interesting.
So that's what we can do. Creative programs that really are built to customize around specific communities, whether it's the vegan one, whether it's the volunteer one, doesn't matter. Online influencers, that's one of our big targets right now. They can feed they can feed 50 million kids a month, those guys. So so we just tap into that. But every single time we're tapping into it, it's like you know what, in the business community, I talked to some people one time and I said, well, what do your clients want? What are they actually looking for? Do you know, sometimes I get a blank stare. I'm like, huh? What? Yeah. You didn't do research on your client? You didn't find out what their pain points are, what their touch points are? I mean, I just pitched somebody the other day and I was watching her as we were talking about it. She was saying, yeah, wow, you really hit on all of our goals. And, you did that. I'm thinking to myself, well, yeah, of course, I know them all. I studied it before I pitched. So I know exactly where you're trying to go and everything else. I mean, yeah, that's exactly what I did. She says, yeah. So yeah, we really want to do this. And well, of course. I mean, so yeah, we need to find out what our people want, our business clients, whatever it is, what they need, and then make sure that we're going to deliver that for them instead of what we want to do, right? So that's the deal.
Okay. Before we go, any message for the business leaders who are watching, or president of the company, or any on leadership roles? Any message you want to give them? What would you say? What do they start conversation, and how do they go about it if they want to learn more about your programs?
Well, anybody can reach out to me. Of course, I'm always open, and I'm big on LinkedIn and all these different places. So don't hesitate to connect with me and reach out. I mean, I'm still one of those big givers. I talk to a lot of people. I mentor a lot of young entrepreneurs, but I do talk to seasoned ones as well. I think that the reality is this: we have to become better leaders than we've been in the past. And that really is about listening a lot more than we've ever done before. Yeah. And not only listening, but be open to change. Understand that things are different. This isn't the way it used to be. I used to run my companies like, hey, it's my way or the highway. You don't like it, go get another job. That was like, 25 years ago or something. But, that stuff is all gone. We live in a new era. And by the way, it's an exciting one. Embrace it. Don't complain about it. Embrace it. Opportunities are everywhere. It's fantastic. But be a good leader. Listen. Make sure you're being creative. Make sure you know how to course correct or pivot, as they call it sometimes, because that's what's needed all the time. Technology is all over the place. It's fast. It moves. So be able to do that. Understand, listen to your employees, listen to your clients, and then make the necessary changes to be successful, because that's what's needed in today's world more than anything.
And it does provide competitive advantage over the companies who are not listening, right? You already ahead of the game if you do that, your company.
Yeah, somebody said something about, well, are you worried about competitors? I'm like, I feed people. I hope 27 competitors open up tomorrow.
It's better.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I'm not in a goal where, like a business, like competing against others. This is the model. This is what we do. And there's many, many needs. I just told you the next 3 to 5 years, we're going to feed 20 to 25 million people a month. And everyone says, that's great. And I said, really? You didn't hear that I said there was 53 million people who go hungry every day? So that's okay, but that's not even half. Yeah. So while other people want to open, go ahead. I'll help them, for God's sake. So
beautiful.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. Yeah. More you can help. Definitely. There's so much to do in a society.
For sure. Absolutely.
Hey, as always, I enjoy our discussion. I learned so much from you, Stephen. And I can't see a business leaders not learning about it and not making an impact. Especially we talk about the benefit for the team's attention, so many different benefits from your programs. And I think I encourage all business leaders who are watching and listening to reach out to you and connect with you and learn about your programs and take advantage of those programs. Just for retention rate or building culture morale in a company is a huge win if you can take on those programs.
Absolutely.
Where can people find you? How can they connect with you, Stephen?
So LinkedIn is always the best one. I'm the #1 guy in Stephen Clarke on LinkedIn. But yeah, I mean, one of the things they can obviously get a hold of me at rtggroupinc.com. My email is just sclarke@rtggroupinc.com. But reach out, connect with me. I love to help people, and I love to collaborate. Okay. Collaboration is king. We can grow together. We can build models where we can grow together. And that, I think, is one of the greatest ways to grow a company still today. So yeah, reach out to me. Happy to talk to anybody. Any questions, let me know. And yeah, look forward to hearing you. And thanks for having me on the show, my friend.
You're welcome. When we send this video up, I'm going to include your contact information below the video as well, so people can reach out to you. And I think I encourage everybody to reach out to you, connect with you, and learn more about the programs.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time, Stephen.
Okay, my friend. See you later.
Right, have a good one. Yep. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.